Hi, my name is Alina Eisenhauer and I'm coming to you today from Sweet in Worcester, Massachusetts. Today I'm going to show you how to make Margarita Cupcakes. What's better than margarita in your cupcake? These cupcakes actually do contain tequila and lime juice. Not so much that you really have to worry about kids having them, maybe if they're really little. But it's a really fun summertime dessert. But even in the winter, people like it because it reminds them of summer. So I'm just going to start by putting my flour into the bowl of my mixer, followed by the sugar and our baking powder and our salt. I'm just going to give that a really quick mix, and only just to kind of get the baking powder and the salt evenly distributed through my flour. That's it, that's simple. Then I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. There's no creaming, no folding, really, really simple recipe. Can't beat that. Now we're going to add our sour cream. Got the butter in there already. Our eggs. Yes, I'm really just dumping it all in here together. Vanilla. And last but not least, our fresh lime zest. And that's it. I'm going to mix this again. Start it low so you don't wear it. And then gradually increase the speed to medium. You want to mix this for about 30 seconds until it gets really smooth and a little bit shiny. And then we'll scrape down the bowl once and just check it by hand to make sure everything's really well incorporated. Smells like a margarita already, even without the tequila. Okay, so we're pretty much all mixed together. It's smooth. And I'm just going to take it, spatula, and check it. We'll scrape off the beater, and I'll mix it one more time, make sure we get any last little lumps or pockets of flour. That is at least as easy as a cake mix, if not easier. And it's from scratch. So I'm just mixing this really well. And that looks good. Now all we have to do is get them into our muffin pans and bake them. So here I have muffin pans with paper liners in them. I prefer to use the paper liners. You can use the foil liners if you want to. You could use a pan with no liner at all, but then the outside gets a little bit harder and crustier, which is nice for a muffin, but not so much for a cupcake. And because we're going to soak these later with the tequila lime syrup, it's better if they have the paper and something to kind of hold them in. I am using a jumbo muffin pan just because I like to do everything big. And they are going to be stuffed, so the jumbo cupcake will give us a little more room for filling them. I like to use an ice cream scoop to fill my muffin cups, which is a good little tip. No matter what size you're using, you get these scoopers. It works great for cookies too. It makes it really easy to portion everything out evenly, and it's clean. So I'm just going to finish up getting all of this into the papers, and they're going to go into a 350-degree oven for about 25 minutes. Again, everybody's oven is different, so you're going to want to check them after about 20 minutes, and then periodically you want to take them out of the oven when you insert a toothpick or a skewer into the center of the cupcake and it comes out clean. Then you're going to let them cool for about 30 minutes to an hour, and when they're good and cool, they're ready for us to fill them and frost them. So while our cupcakes are in the oven baking, we're going to make the tequila lime buttercream that makes this a margarita cupcake. The first thing we're going to do is take 8 ounces of soft butter. You want it room temperature. Leave it out for a while, a couple hours. You want it really good and soft so it's creamy. And 8 ounces of Crisco. And I am kind of brand specific there. I do prefer Crisco, and it's trans fat free, so you don't have to worry about that. It's legal. We're going to put that on the mixer and start to cream those together, just to kind of get them started. Just like the cupcake, this is actually a really easy recipe because everything kind of just goes in the bowl all together and mixes till it comes together smooth and creamy. Next, I'm going to start to add, let's turn this up for a second. Now I'm going to add a little bit of our confectioner sugar, and you actually do not need to sift it. It will work itself out, unless you get, if you happen to get a box that's really lumpy, but that barely ever happens. Just add a little bit at a time and it will work itself out. Again, turn this on really slow so you don't wear the powdered sugar. And you're going to mix it until that batch of sugar just gets incorporated into your butter and your shortening mixture. And then we'll add the rest of the sugar. Speed that up a little bit. While that's mixing, I can add my lime zest, fresh lime zest. And then the good stuff. We're going to add some tequila, and this is the one instance where I recommend using a cheap ingredient. Usually I say use the most expensive, the best ingredients you can find, but for this frosting, the cheaper tequila actually works better because it's a little bit harsher, and you still get that tequila flavor and the tequila essence through all of the sugar and the other flavors going on in the frosting, and you need to be able to kind of get that little bite from the tequila to really make your cupcake taste like a margarita. So we're going to add an ounce of gold tequila. Let that mix a little bit. And once your tequila is incorporated, the last thing I'm going to add is an ounce of lime juice. You can use fresh lime juice. I prefer to use key lime juice, which you can find in the supermarket. Pretty much only one brand I've ever seen, Nellie & Joe's Key West lime juice. But it just has a little bit more of a interesting flavor to it than fresh lime juice. It's straight, it's not concentrated or anything, but key limes just are a little bit tangier and have just a little bit more flavor. More like Margaritaville. And there we go. We're going to scrape it down and add a little bit of food coloring. The food coloring is optional, but most people would expect it to be a little bit green. You don't want to go crazy and scare people, but add a tiny bit of green food coloring. And I actually like to add a tiny bit of green and a tiny bit of yellow so that we get a lighter, more limey green color. If you add just the straight green, you're going to end up with kind of a leafy minty color. And by adding the yellow, it looks more true to a lime. And that's it. Once that's all mixed in, we have our frosting, and we're going to be ready to put these cupcakes together. So now our cupcakes are cool and our frosting is done. We are ready for the fun part. We're going to fill and frost our cupcakes. The first step is we're going to soak them with a tequila lime syrup mixture. All this is some simple syrup, which is equal parts of water and sugar. You just dissolve the sugar in the water. And then, so we're going to do 1/3 simple syrup, 1/3 lime juice. In this case, I like the key lime again, and 1/3 of your tequila. You're going to take it in a squeeze bottle. But if you don't have a squeeze bottle at home, you could easily just do this with a little spoon, like a teaspoon or a tablespoon measure. And I've punched a hole in my cupcake. You can really just use your finger to do it, or the back of a whisk or spoon. And I'm going to fill that with a little bit of the syrup. It's going to soak it. So basically, this is a margarita in a bottle, and I'm kind of just soaking my cupcake with the margarita. I have here a disposable pastry bag, which you can find really readily now. Actually, a lot of supermarkets carry them. A lot of the department stores or craft stores carry them. If you can't find a disposable pastry bag, you can use just a regular Ziploc bag. You'll fill it and then cut the corner off. These are a little bit harder to work with. You don't have as much control as you do with the disposable pastry bag. So I'm going to take my pastry bag, cut a little tip off. You don't need to insert a tip or anything. You can just use it just like this. Just cut the end off. And I'm going to fill it with my frosting. Another little tip is don't overfill your bag. It's better to have to go back and refill it than to fill it too much the first time because you don't have as much control. It's really hard to squeeze it if it's too full. I'm just going to twist it. Again, that's going to give me more control. And then I'm going to take this and stick it right into that hole we made in the cupcake. Fill it up. You can push. You can feel the pressure. It starts to kind of expand your cupcake a little bit right to the top. And then frost the top all the way around. And I'm just going to repeat this with all of the cupcakes that I have. And by stuffing the cupcakes, you're going to get some frosting in every bite instead of all of it just piled on the top. So now our cupcakes are frosted and we're ready for the good part. We're going to gild the lily a little bit. We're going to rim the outside of the cupcake with a coarse sugar, sanding sugar, which again you can find in most craft stores, a lot of times in your baking aisle. Sometimes it's called decorating sugar or sanding sugar. The difference with this and a regular table sugar is it's actually coated with a little bit of wax. It's completely edible, but it will keep it crunchy. It doesn't dissolve into whatever you put it on. So I'm just going to take the cupcake and a little bit of my sugar and just around the edge as if I was rimming the edge of my margarita glass. And we're going to do that for all of our cupcakes. It looks pretty, but it also, you know, and it plays into the whole theme, but it also adds a nice little bit of crunch. We're always looking for a contrast in texture. And then the best part of all, we're going to top them off with a little bit of coarse sea salt. You can either use a salt grinder or, you know, just take some with your fingers, a few grains. You don't want to go crazy, but just a little bit on top of each cupcake, and that really takes it up and makes it into a margarita because you get that sweet and salty with your tequila and your lime. It's really good. It's a little bit of a surprise, and everybody's sure to love it.